I want to talk about the Golden State experience, and probably out of the work that you did as just as a professional coach. Like, what were some of the things you saw and experienced stepping into Golden State? I'm interested.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And I was in a really, that's a great question, because I'm like, where do I start with that, right? So I had quite a unique experience. I was brought in originally as a guest with the
What year was
coach
this?
at the time.
Sorry, by the way. What year?
2016, wow. I think. I don't know if it's 15, 16 or 16, 17. Like, so it's a bit blurry, right? So it might have been 16. It was the year that Coach Kerr had to take some time off coaching.
Wow.
Whatever season that was, and I'd been asked by the high performance guy just to go, who was familiar with my work, could you come in and just kind of have a look? And I really want to get you involved in the program, but I'm still getting a feel for it. So I just happened to be in the States at the time, so I called in, and so I ended up not working with the whole team as a whole. I was working with some of a couple of key individuals for a couple of certain periods of time to achieve some results. And I have to be careful what I say because of privacy and confidentiality around who these people were, and that's something obviously I take really seriously. Is not kind of giving too much away about individuals, as you can appreciate. But I mean, a couple of standouts was it was this weird bubble, right? It's like,
I think we're all just waiting for you to say Steph Curry, but carry on.
he was an impressive human, right? And one of the things I'll say about him, and I use him often all the time, is that story that most people are really familiar with Steph, where he was always told he wasn't going to be big enough or strong enough to be a basketball player, right? To be an NBA player. And he could have easily bought into that and gone, yep, it's not fair. I'm not. But in terms, and that's what I kind of call the victim mindset, which you might, I know you touched on that just before, but we see often athletes will go to all the time. It's not fair. Fill in the dots. This is the reason I can't perform, or this is the reason I don't make team, or whatever. Instead, he was like, well, how can I become good enough to become an NBA player? And I don't know that this was inside his head, but as a uneducated observer looking at him, he was like, well, I can get really good at a 3-point shot, worked really, really hard at it, and obviously become a phenomenal player. And that was one thing early on that he was really well known for, was his 3-point shooting, and just phenomenal with it, right? And one of the things I watched after every practice session that I was just blessed enough to be in the training facility to watch was he would drop 100 3-pointers before he'd leave the court, right? He was the best in the world at the time, and yet still had that work ethic to go, how can I get better? And it was that difference between excellence and perfection. It wasn't I'm not good enough, and it was more that I want to get better, and I want to learn, and I want to grow, and I want to keep becoming more excellent to keep that edge. So that work ethic was phenomenal, and just what a humble human he was, for someone who's actually a superstar. And I think that's the stuff that, and we've talked about before, but that awesomeness and true high performers, just how humble they actually are.